Stumbling home, we don't know where we're going. Should've turned back hours ago. Out of our minds, I guess we're sleeping outside. You're still a good time, even in the cold.
Hello, welcome to Defender Adventure. We are Paul and Chrissie from the UK, and with our Land Rover Defender that we have called Sterling, we are travelling the world.
Guess we need a new plan. There's a motel a mile down the road. It was a really good day. Siempre okay. Fuma mucho mari, so I feel lost in space. It was a really good day. Me llamaste a las 3 de la mañana. Viene con tu drama. 99 problems, me ahogo cuando traes más. Solo quiero resolverlo por ti. Me encanta cuando cocina desnuda para mí. Arroz con habichuelas y un poquito Hennessy. Cantando una bachata en la casa mientras bailamos.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Icefields Parkway. This is the Icefields Parkway in Jasper National Park, spoilt for views. I have been travelling today, joined the Icefields Parkway at the Saskatchewan River crossing, drove north from there, stopped for a few photographs, stopped also to look at the Columbia Icefield. Chrissie and I last visited this in 2019, but it was April, and there's a huge difference in the look of the place when it's covered in snow compared to middle of summer. Number of tourists is still high, both then and now, especially those that want to go out onto the ice crawlers onto the glacier. It is day 3 of me being alone. Well, if you count day 1 when Chrissie flew home, I saw her in the morning, she took off. I left Calgary on the 1A heading towards Banff, but then took a turning north onto the 40. It was paved for a little while, but then it became a dusty, dirty trail. Beautiful scenery. I decided today that, albeit it was a longer way to come, I would come up the Icefields Parkway and then exit the park and rejoin the 40 there, as I understand that when I rejoin the 40 heading towards Grand Prairie, it is then paved again. And I have to say, I'm really pleased I did come. I was dreading the level of tourists and traffic, but it's been pretty good. A lot of people about, but the road's been good. I've made good progress. And I've had some beautiful views along my way, like this here. So I shall leave here now, head for Jasper, and then find a campground and do all the work to set up, clean up, all the things I'm not used to doing. Good evening, and what a beautiful evening. Now, I'm sitting by this big lake. I don't know whether this is called Young's Lake or not, but it's a beautiful evening. There are some people, let's call them that, people on a speedboat out there that do keep making a lot of noise unnecessarily, but they're quiet at the moment, so let's hope it stays that way for a little way. I've been looking at the map, and according to the map it looks like I can sort of leapfrog from lake to lake to lake to lake, most of which are either provincial parks or provincial recreational areas, and if I can travel across Alberta like that, that won't be too bad a way to go. The land around here has started to become pretty flat, which is a bit of a shame after having spent a bit of time in the Rockies and enjoying the scenery. Today it looked like I would have had great scenery today, but it was just so cloudy and dull and overcast. But yes, so got here tonight, cooked dinner. I'm going to have a shower in the morning. They've got a shower block around the corner, and then I'm going to set off. I think tomorrow night, I think my destination will be Lesser Slave Lake. We went to Great Slave Lake up near Hay River. This is Lesser Slave Lake, and it's meant to be very good for wildlife and bird life. Has a nice beach apparently. I've just been reading some information on it. So if the weather's good and if the campsite is as good as it sounds, I may well have a couple of nights there just to give myself a break. You know, I don't want to go on about it, but it's not easy doing all the jobs on your own. Another glorious day in Alberta. I did actually stop at Lesser Slave Lake, but I only stopped there for the one night, and I carried on the following morning to where I am now, which is the Sir Winston Churchill Provincial Park. I thought I'd better come here, being the loyal subject that I am. This park is on an island, and it's got a number of trails, and I'm following what I think is the longest trail. It's the sort of trail that follows the perimeter of the island. Hopefully I'll come out onto the coastline, as it were, shortly. But I thought I'd do a hike today. Checkout time isn't until 2 o'clock this afternoon, so I've got time this morning to do a hike. I think it's around 4 to 5 miles. Just gives me a chance to stretch my legs after a few days worth of driving. I shall put up a map that will show the sort of campgrounds and the route that I've been taking from Jasper. And as I will leave campground here today quite late, I shan't be driving too far today, but I think I'll end up on a campground called Cold Lake. Now, Cold Lake is very close to the border of Alberta and Saskatchewan, so that will be another province out of the way. I've been doing a little bit of working out, and it doesn't take a great maths genius to realise that if I've still got several thousand miles to go, and I'm only doing around 200 or so miles a day on average, I need to get a crack on, and otherwise I'm going to get over to the east coast and find myself in terrible weather. If this summer weather's going to last, it would be nice to nip through some of the lesser interesting parts of Middle Canada to get over to the east coast. Since leaving the Rockies, the journey hasn't been as exciting or as scenic, but I have been loving the quietness of the roads. Very little traffic, only the occasional roadworks to spoil the journey. This campground here, which as I said is on an island, is in Lac La Biche. I'm not sure what La Biche sounds for. It's tempting to say it's the bitch, but I don't really know. Lac La Biche. But it's a beautiful area. Lots of lakes, lots of trails. Oh, here we go. Oh, well, how disappointing. I will just walk a little bit further. Some days you make the effort to do something and then you get this. What is a man supposed to do? Oh, got bitten by a mosquito. Oh well, now heading back the way I just came. Hopefully I can find another trail off this one that will get me back onto the trail I want to be on. The problem is with the amount of miles we've done so far and the little distance we've gained across the country means that it's only going to be another 2,500 miles before the car will need another service. So I'm going to have to think about organising a service kit and where I can have it delivered to. Oh, the problems are never ending. It's also a dilemma how quickly to get over to the east coast. I don't want to hang around in the middle of Canada where the scenery is not as special, but I want to get over to the east coast while there's still some of the summer weather left. But everybody keeps telling me how beautiful the east coast is in the fall with the fall colours. So, as they say, timing is everything, but I just don't know what time to aim for. So this is the other end of the section of trail that's closed. I had to have a little detour around the outside, but now I can carry on down here. This should bring me out in a short time to the lake's edge. Well, this is quite nice. I've just arrived down by the edge of the lake on the little beach here, and the beach is packed with, I think, they may be some sort of tern. I'm not entirely sure. I'll have to look it up and report back later. Now, is that a view of Point Lac La Biche, or is it a viewpoint of Lac La Biche? I think the sign writer could have done a little better job there. Well, just got back from my walk and I need a drink. I'm all very sweaty, but I'm out of water. So I thought that this might be an ideal opportunity to introduce a new feature called How Does He Do It? And the subject of the How Does He Do It video this week, or this video, not this week, is water. Where do we get water from, and how do we store it and carry it and deal with it? Well, the answer today is quite simple. We're on a campground and they have drinking water. So I can go and fill up my drinking bottle. We keep a drinking bottle in the fridge. It's about these hold, I think, around a litre or so, and we can fill 2 of these up from our bottle that we keep in the fridge. So this is the storage container that we keep in the fridge with special Ziploc bag to prevent leaks, because it leaks. We keep talking about, it's one of those, get round to it, we want a new container, but this is the perfect size for our fridge. And so now this container, when it's empty, we fill from here. This is our lifesaver. I think this is made in the UK, but it's basically made of it's just a plastic jerry can, but it has this section here on top, which is the pump. This pressurizes the contents. That would go in. This handle comes out and that pressurizes, and then down the bottom is this rather dusty looking thing. There's a long filter on here and a charcoal filter in the end, and we just turn this tap here. So our normal trick to fill this, if we want our own, would be to pressurize this and then sit this down here and open the valve. We try to only ever put decent quality water in here anyway. It's supposed to filter all sorts of water from rivers and streams and lakes and everything else, but we try and keep this full of drinking water. If we can't get it off a campground like this, places like superstores, Walmarts, they have water machines, and we can go in and fill this up 3 or 4 times for only a few dollars. There we go. As I say to Chrissie, a couple of quick pumps does the job, and then just release pressure so it's not stored under pressure. This water, both in the lifesaver and in here, is just for drinking. For all other water, I will see if I can show you round to the other side of the vehicle. We have a fill cap just here, and underneath the vehicle is this tank, this black tank that runs along here. We've put one of these tanks on each side. The one on the far side is our secondary diesel tank, and this one here is our water tank. This gets filled at this fill point here, and then there's a pipe with a filter on it, and that runs to just inside this. Behind here is our water pump, and that water pump discharges water to this tap inside. This is our inside tap, or faucet, depending upon where you're from. And then just back here we have our outside tap or faucet, depending on where you're from. Now, under normal circumstances, when filling this, Chrissie and I would do this together, and Chrissie would simply take one of our plastic chopping boards, roll it into a funnel, poke it in the hole, and I would pour water into that. Basic, but it does the job. I can't hold that, obviously, and pour the water. So since Chrissie has gone home, I've invested in a piece of string and a funnel with a spout. So it's a little bit of a game to set up. Now I do carry a hose, and if we find a tap or a faucet that's got a thread on it, we can screw our hose on and obviously fill our tank with a hose. That would be obviously the simplest thing to do, but here on the campground the faucets are just a push and hold and no thread. So this is going to take me a moment. I'll come back to you later. There we go. And then round this side, once we've finished filling with water, or other than purely having the water overflow, we have a couple of gauges here. If I flick the switch for the gauges, the top one is the water showing nearly full, and the bottom one is the other diesel tank showing around half full. I try and run just on the main diesel tank, and then if we overestimate the distance between fuel stations, then it's nice to know we've got a little bit in hand.
Caught behind Venetian blinds, had to reach for the city lights. This ain't where I belong. Hey, look at me, man, what I've become. I've been running east, looking for a sunset, digging deep since '99. What I thought was gone.
Come on, let's go for a spin.
All along.
This is the first hole at the Canwood 9-hole golf course.
All I know, I got lost along the way, fell between the foam, pulling stitches, time to let go, so come what may.
I left Cold Lake this morning and I've been heading east on 55 for several hours, and decided to, I was looking to go to a campground about another 80 miles further on, and I just about had enough really. So I came across a sign that said Canwood Regional Park. So I've come along here to this little community owned golf course and camping ground. They've charged me the princely sum of $15 to camp for the night, and suggested I jumped in one of the carts and had a little drive around the golf course, so I can give an idea of what this place is like to my brother-in-law, who happens to be a professional golfer. Now the only thing is, because I'm not playing, I'm not taking any notice of the hole numbers and where I need to go. So this is the pathway that leads through to the second hole. It's a bit narrow through here, I think thin. Oh, looks like this hole is a dog leg to the left. I can't get over the condition of this place. They say it's only open for a few months in the summer. It gets several feet of snow in the winter. Wow, what a beautiful course. I'm just going to loop round here, and while I've got the cart, I'll quickly take you over and show you where Sterling is parked for the night, and then I'll return the cart. Well, I've had a good look round. Given that it's in such a small community, there's no major developments around. I'm not quite sure how they survive, but obviously they do. They've got a log cabin for a clubhouse, and when you walk in there, all you can smell is bread, where they do the homemade baking for sandwiches. Made me very hungry. Another day, another campground. And this one is Clearwater Lake Provincial Park in Manitoba. Well, I spent last night at a campground called Jan Lake in Saskatchewan, and I left there this morning before 8:30. I had got in mind to get a lot of miles under my belt today. 50 miles from the campground, I came to a town called Flin, and there I met Stuart. Well, good morning. Another beautiful morning. I am in a town called Flon. A very unusual name in Manitoba, and I was just looking at this character here and reading the history of him and how the town got its name, when along came a man called Stuart, who seems to know just about everything about the town. So I'm going to let him tell the story. So good morning, Stuart.
Good morning.
Can you tell me about this character on the...
Okay, back in the early 1920s, there were prospectors up here looking for gold showings to hopefully find a mine, and they came across a copper showing up by the metallurgical plant, and no, they were actually shown that by a native trapper. And they had to register their claim, and they didn't know what to call it, because you name it.
Okay.
And a few days before, they had found an old dime store novel written by a gentleman called Murdoch out of England. And the hero of the story was Josiah Flanaberty Floniton. Josiah Flanaberty Floniton. So they said, let's shorten that. Let's call this showing Flin. So that's how it got its name.
Okay.
And what they did in the 1960s, the town decided, well, let's make what would you call it? Like not a memento, but someone who represents the town.
Okay.
Okay. So they went to and they had no picture of what this Josiah looked like.
Okay.
And they went to Al Cap, who was a cartoonist that produced Little Abner.
Oh,
okay,
right.
It was a cartoon, weekly cartoon in the newspaper.
Yeah.
And this is what Al Cap came up with what Josiah looked like. Now Josiah was an inventor and a bit of an oddball, if you want to call it that. And he built himself a submarine. And he found a lake with no bottom in it. So he went in his submarine down to the bottom, and he came to a big cavern with a big city, and it was paved with gold. And the whole town was run by women.
Oh.
Much like up here.
Gold and women, what more could you want?
Yeah, well, exactly. Eh? So he managed to escape, and the last 3 pages of the book were ripped out, so they don't know how the whole story ended.
Oh no.
So that's how Josiah
Oh,
Flin Flon.
what a great story.
Yeah, it is, and that's how Flin Flon got its name.
But so they got its name like that, and then obviously mining started here,
Yeah.
and then mining. But you actually worked at the mine?
Yes, well, I worked in the engineering department
Okay.
for 25 years,
All right. Okay.
and
So were you born here in?
no,
Flin?
I was actually raised in Saskatchewan, 400 miles north of here.
Oh, okay. All right.
And an interesting thing about this particular town, city, is we're built right on the Saskatchewan-Manitoba border.
Yes.
So in the underground workings, there'll be a tunnel that they call a drift, a
Yes.
horizontal tunnel,
Okay.
and there'll be a line in the drift, Manitoba, Saskatchewan.
Okay.
So
And what-
they, to keep
What's the consequences of that in terms of
for
mining?
taxes,
Oh, okay.
tax reasons.
Right.
And there was also stories way back when where the workman's compensation payments, if somebody was injured, was better on one province on the other. Now it's all the same. But
So did they used to move people from one side of the line
that's
to the
exactly
other?
what they did.
Yes.
And there was a case where somebody was working up on a bit of a scaffold on the one side, one province, fell, landed on the other province, broke his arm, broke his leg, hurt himself. Well, which provincial workmen's compensation board handles the case?
Yeah. Accident occurred in one place and ended in another.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This went to court apparently, and the judge ruled, okay, the fall didn't break his arm, it was a sudden stop when he hit the ground.
Yes. Okay.
There's another one in town here, where the border runs right through the person's house.
Ah.
So are they a Manitoba resident or are they a Saskatchewan resident?
Yeah.
So they determined, where do you spend most of your time? In bed sleeping. Where's your bedroom?
Oh, okay.
You get
Lots of quirky things like that.
Yeah, in the smelter they have a big furnace. Border runs right through the furnace. You've got a big oil gun,
Yeah.
and high capacity oil gun. Okay. Then even in your furnace, there's an airspace, and then there's the flame. The border runs right there. So where do they pay the taxes?
Yeah.
The oil isn't actually used till the flame, so where the flame is.
Yeah. All right.
Like you say, quirky little things like that.
And then the other thing that you can't help but not notice is this very, very tall chimney that
Yeah.
you have here.
Yeah, and what that is that's to dissipate the sulfur dioxide gas from the copper smelting process.
Right.
I like to call it the solution to pollution is dilution.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Get it away.
Yes.
So
Make it somebody else's problem.
there you go.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Well, Stuart, how can I thank you? That's fantastic.
Have you had a chance to look at some of this mining equipment?
I'm going to have to shoot across the wall, Mark. I need to.
And like in the early days, you can pick blueberries around here.
I've seen some by the side of the road today.
Those blue ones?
Yeah, the blueberries. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Indeed. I've picked so far like.
By the time that Stuart had finished with me, it was after lunch, and I felt like there was nothing about Flin Flon I didn't know. A very informative man. But I didn't have a great deal of time left to do a lot of miles. So today I've stopped at Clearwater Lake Provincial Park in Manitoba, and tomorrow I've promised myself I'll make an early start and get a few more miles under my belt. There is a provincial park, a Manitobian provincial park tomorrow that has a laundromat. So I may make use of that. That'd be quite interesting. There might have to be a few messages to Chrissie, such as, where's this and how do you do that? But we'll see how I get on. But that, as they say, as I keep saying, is for another video. So thanks for watching and see you soon.